부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Let me begin with a question today. What does the state of mental health look like for South Koreans or those living in South Korea? Well, last year was a bleak year on average, it seems, with increases in things like depression, anxiety, and, of course, economic shortfalls. Koreans were more split politically than ever, something that will likely continue, at least for the first half of the year, considering the ongoing trials and whatnot. So with this data in front of us, will this be the year of unity or continued division? That will depend on the country's leaders and, of course, all of us as well. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, March 7th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. It's that day. Oh, I've been waiting for this day. It's been, for me personally, kind of like a long week, the first week back at school. And I'm sure for many of you or your family members, they probably feel kind of the same feeling of relief, a little bit of tiredness as well. Well, let's take a look at this report card on the state of the country's mental health and society. This is according to the Korea Institute of Public Administration, based on its annual survey on social integration and unity. So South Koreans scored their perceived happiness or satisfaction at 6.8 out of a scale of 1 to 10. So there was a slight uptick. That's good. Another bit of good news, pride in being South Korean came to 3.1 out of a scale of up to 4, which was the highest since record-taking began 12 years ago. And there was a slight increase in satisfaction over one's political and economic situation. However, it seems that people are more divided than ever as fewer people talked about politics or social issues with their family or friends. Instead, they expressed their stance on through signing petitions or posting these opinions online or going to rallies and demonstrations. So it's quite different from having these conversations in person with people you know. But there were big jumps in anxiety and depression, and perceived levels of discrimination in hiring were quite high. So politics also played a role here, with people pointing to ideological divisions as the most serious issue of all. So we're talking about 이념 갈등. Actually, more people were faced with economic limitations or restraints, including people taking out loans, moving due to money issues, not being able to get medical help, and even skipping meals. So good news and bad news. It's a mixed bag on this front, but if people are unhappy because they cannot make ends meet, if people are having to skip meals because of economic reasons, I don't know. Are we doing enough on the welfare and social fronts? That is another question I think we need to ask of ourselves. So that's the top story today. Now it's time for a text topic. What do you watch the most on social media, SNS, or on streaming platforms? Like, what's in your algorithm? What keeps on coming up? Because your algorithm, I think, does signify what you tend to stare at, look at, or, click on, right? So, 내가 너튜브나 SNS로 많이 보는 콘텐츠는, and also 여러분의 알고리즘에 대해서 이야기 우리 오늘 나눠볼까요? So what is popping up on your feed? I'm so curious. I'll go first. I have lots of cooking stuff that comes up on, and that's in my algorithm because I click on those kind of stories. Like if I see something and I'm like, I watch it first and then I save it to my little folder where it says, I think it's under food or recipes or something like that, right? So I save recipes where I think, I can do this. Not the really fancy ones, but the ones I can do. I definitely do that. Lots of animal, accounts that I do follow or, peruse once in a while. So those are two top things that I enjoy watching. You can send in your responses to BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. Go to the platform, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel to subscribe, log in, and chat with our other listeners, our waivers. On your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free through our Kakao Talk channel as well. Type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find us first and then add us. And you're well on your way to sending in your messages for free. Also, you can send in photos if you like. The ways you can listen to us. So many ways these days. And yes, that rhymes. So, on the radio, 90.5, 103.3 FM. That's if you're in the Busan area. Like I said, we are streaming live. Yes, in real time. Oh, Tommy, is that a school uniform? No, it's not a uniform. 아침부터 Tommy 씨, what? Why are you picking a fight with me? So, okay. And then also we have the two apps, the BEFM app and the Patbang app as well, where you can check out the 와글와글 segment. Looking ahead to our Friday morning together, we have Casey with Foreign Press Highlights. We have Vasana, What in the World, for our special interview. I mean, this is pretty major. Trump freezing aid for Ukraine, right? So there was a freeze in military aid and intelligence sharing, raising significant concerns about the ongoing conflict. And we're going to find out what this really means, how this will affect the dynamics of this war moving forward. So that's coming up in hour number 2, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It's now 7:07. These are today's headlines. 15 injured after bomb accidentally dropped over village. 15 people were injured yesterday after 2 Air Force KF-16 fighter jets mistakenly dropped 8 air-to-surface bombs outside a training range during live fire drills in Pocheon. Consumer prices rise at 2% level in February. South Korea's consumer prices rose at a 2% level for the second consecutive month in February, driven by a weaker local currency that pushed up import costs. Government leaning towards scrapping plan to hike med school quota. The government is reportedly moving to withdraw the medical school quota expansion for next year in an effort to resolve the trainee doctors' walkout, with the announcement expected later today. Review panel calls for arrests of presidential security officials. A warrant review committee of the Seoul High Prosecutor's Office sided with the police's decision to request arrest warrants for 2 senior officials of the Presidential Security Service, PSS, Kim Sung-hoon and Lee Kwang-woo. Trump pauses some Canada and Mexico tariffs for 1 month. U.S. President Donald Trump temporarily delayed tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico until April 2nd, 2 days after imposing sweeping tariffs on all imports from the 2 North American nations. And this was today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates, which means Sue is here in the studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
I know, so happy. And you know what? I've been greeting, student after student from Wednesday yesterday. I have 2 more classes today, but you know what? So tiring. Because, I haven't had a full load in 2 months, right? I had a 2-month break. So, but kind of exciting. Let's get into our text topic. What's on your algorithm for social media? What do you watch?
Right. So I don't do the major other social media activity.
Yes.
The Ding Gram. Yeah.
You don't do that at all?
Because I tend to compare myself to others severely.
Okay.
So it's not good for my mental health.
Oh.
So I only stick to the NotTube. And so I have extra time these days.
Yes.
So I started to work out.
Ooh.
And I like to dance, just when I'm home alone. It's
Another dancer.
great mood booster. So I recommend.
Another dancer? Oh, meaning... Am I acknowledging that Haley is a dancer? Is what our producer is like.
I read the comment. Yeah.
What kind of dance are we talking about?
So I found this amazing workout. It's about trendy Afro dance workout.
Really?
So the music is really Caribbean vibe, really upbeat, fast.
Lots of drums, percussions, right?
That too, but then salsa and everything in combination, from contemporary pop songs and to hip hop, reggae.
Really?
Style, Caribbean.
I cannot imagine Sue doing that. I'm just saying, one of these days, we're going to have to see it to believe it.
I don't think so. I don't think anybody's allowed to see it, but...
In the privacy of your own home.
Yes.
Interesting. So you watch those kind of videos?
Yeah, and then I do the
follow
dance
along?
and then workout. It's a workout.
It's a workout.
But the Afro dance workout.
I like it.
Highly recommend it.
I'm going to look it up.
Yes.
During a song break. I'm so curious now. Thanks for sharing. We're getting to know Sue on a different level these days. I love it. All right, jumping into our first update. Let's talk about I재명, the leader of the Democratic Party, who visited Busan and began his strategy of targeting difficult areas, launching a growth strategy involving the Arctic route. So tell us about this.
So during his visit, he emphasized the potential of the Arctic shipping route as a growth strategy for the region, focusing on reducing logistics costs and enhancing Busan's role in global trade.
Yes. So the Arctic shipping route, some people pronounce it route. So whichever way you pronounce it, what is this? We need more explanation.
So this is 북극항로. So it is a maritime path connecting Asia, Europe, and North America through the Arctic region. And with the decreasing sea ice in the Arctic every year, this route is gaining increasing commercial interest.
Yes.
And the development of the Arctic route is crucial as it aims to reduce logistics costs and shorten travel times. However, there are environmental, legal, and technical challenges that must be addressed.
Yes.
And if successfully developed, the Arctic route will present significant economic opportunities for port cities like Busan.
Indeed. And so tell us more.
And the visit was part of Lee's broader effort to connect with voters in traditionally conservative areas,
Yes.
so-called PK area, Busan, Ulsan, South Gyeongnam Province, showing his leadership in regional development issues, particularly after the region's disappointment with the failed Busan Expo bid. And despite differences with Busan's mayor, who emphasized the need for a global hub city law and the relocation of the industrial bank to Busan, Lee continued to push his vision for economic growth in the region. And the mayor had asked Lee for meetings with multiple times over the past 2 years,
Yes.
but he was always rejected. And in addition, Lee has also been discussing broader economic topics like tax reforms and regional development, including the possibility of relocating the presidential office to Sejong, which could become a key issue in the presidential election.
Yes.
And while his statements sparked speculation, his party clarified that they were simply looking to understand the current progress on these issues.
Well, thank you for sharing with us what went down and what's going on. We're going to move to our second story. This is a story we've been covering for some days now. The fire at the 반얀트리 Busan Resort construction site, which resulted in, once again, 6 deaths plus injuries occurred apparently when sparks from work ignited insulation material. Is that what they're thinking right now?
Yes. So the Busan Police Department released the findings from the National Forensic Services, and it was concluded that the fire began in the pit room, which is plumbing maintenance room on the first floor, and that's where the victims were working on some sort of heat work.
I see.
And it seems that the fire spread to the insulation on the pipes in the ceiling of the underground water treatment machinery room.
I see. So let's go over some of the safety regulations and whether they were followed properly or not.
So while the building had a fire safety manager, the work area lacked a mandatory fire watcher, 화재감시자. It's someone who should have been there to monitor and respond to any fire hazards. And on top of that, the necessary fire safety facilities like fire alarms, emergency exit lights,
Yes.
and visual alarms, they were missing in the areas near the fire's origin, even though the building had been approved for occupancy. And police have raided several locations to investigate the lack of safety measures.
Sure.
And they're looking into whether the sprinkler system worked properly. And currently, over 10 individuals are under investigation for negligence, and the probe into potential safety violations is expected to conclude by the end of the month.
I see. So we're going to be closely monitoring this story as it is very much a local, unfortunately tragic story. Next up, let's talk about Junggu District, which is pushing for the designation of a 골목-type shopping district for the commercial areas to kind of break free from this economic stagnation, right?
Yes. So Busan's Junggu District announced that it's working on amending local ordinances to designate the Jungwangdong Cafe Street area, which is around 38,713 square meters
Yes.
with 246 stores. So this area is a 골목-type shopping district, 골목형 상점가. And the area is densely packed with cafes and shops, particularly around the famous 40 Stairs Street, 40계단길. So this is a cultural landmark to honor refugees and dock workers during Korean War.
Right.
And the key aspect of Junggu District's ordinance revision is loosening the criteria for designation. So originally, to qualify, an area needs at least 30 stores within 2,000 square meters, 605평, but the Cafe Street area falls short of this requirement.
Yes.
And however, the district has successfully negotiated to lower the requirement, making it easier to qualify. And if everything goes smoothly, the new designation could be in place by August.
Oh, okay.
And local business owners are hopeful. And a restaurant owner mentioned that the outside of lunch hours, foot traffic is quite low, but with the right investment and support, the area could become a thriving commercial hub again.
Oh, and of course, we support that. We hope for that, definitely. So thanks for sharing that information with our listeners. And moving on, Busan City has appointed 최정윤 샘표 head researcher as gourmet tourism policy advisor.
Yes. So the city of Busan appointed her as a policy advisor and signed a memorandum of understanding to promote the gourmet tourism sector.
Yes, well, we want to know more about her. Tell us about 최정윤.
So she is a recognized expert in Korean cuisine, working as the head researcher at 샘표's Our Flavor Research Center. So 샘표 is a very well-known brand,
Right.
Specializing in like fermented food. And also she is a chair of Nanlo Union, which is a consulting institution specializing in Korean cuisine research and the global Korean food industry. So as an appointed advisor,
Yes.
Che will provide policy consultation for 2 years, focusing on attracting international gourmet events and fostering Busan's gourmet tourism industry through cooperation with related institutions.
Yes.
And her extensive experience and broad professional network are expected to contribute significantly to the development of Busan's gourmet tourism industry. So I read her interview article, and she said she had her career-defining moment in Spain while she was working on joint culinary research, and she realized how crucial cooking is to the development of a country's food culture.
Yes.
And that a single chef can change the whole world. So she learned that to be innovative, she thought that one must have a like deep understanding of tradition and classics. So that kind of motivated her to come to this far.
I see. Well, as in any whatever you're, in deep understanding of the tradition and classic, it's very fundamental. So
Yes.
good to hear that. So thank you for going over all the local updates, and we'll check in with you on Monday. Have a great weekend, Sue.
You too. Thank you.
All right. And now here is your traffic and weather. It's 7:19. Here is your traffic and weather. There's an accident on Namhae Expressway going towards Suncheon. This is a two-car collision right around the Deokjeon interchange area. Please be careful. Be aware of that area right now. Congestion on Dongso overpass from Bumnakul ramp to the old Kegum toll gate. It looks pretty busy on Gwangnam-no from KBS 3-way intersection to the Dongbang 5-way intersection in both directions right now. Heavy traffic on Nakdong-daero from Gwaejong intersection to Haran intersection. It's currently 3 degrees Celsius, but it's going to go up to around 10 degrees. However, it looks kind of nice out right now. However, the clouds are going to roll in by the afternoon. Looking ahead to the weekend, tomorrow you can expect a low of 5, a high of 10. Light rain is forecast in the afternoon. For Sunday, a low of 3 and a high of 13 under clear skies. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. Haley's in the studio with us. What are you wearing, Haley?
Stop copying me.
I wore it. I put this on at 5 a.m. What time did you?
6 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
all right.
I swear. we
I had a
don't.
button-up padding on.
yeah.
And as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh no. And then I kind of Superman
Superman'd it?
chest thing.
And then the buttons went tuk, 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 tuk.
Yeah, because like
She
the
opened.
tuktak, it's like
Yes,
the
yes.
clippy buttons. Yeah. So we're like, oh no.
It's okay. Great minds think alike. Well, I want to know what's in your algorithm.
Your algorithm is in my algorithm because
so what
all right,
pops
so
up?
I'm not a huge animal person. I mean, animals are cute, but I just don't go looking for them
Yes,
online,
yes.
except for penguin documentaries. I will forever stand
Yes,
by
yes.
penguins. But cute puppy videos and like bunny videos. I'm honestly never in my life
But
been
that pops
interested
up,
in
right?
bunnies, and it's because she liked them. And then with dogs, it's usually Annie. And I'm just like, get out of my algorithm, people. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Also cooking, but not because I'm not a practical, functional cook. Home entertainment. Yeah, lots of parties,
Yeah.
dinner parties with friends, kind
Sure.
of those series. Yeah, I love those. Once again, also I don't entertain
And I was
either.
going to say,
no.
do you entertain
in my
often?
what home? Like in my what living alone?
your
Yeah,
parents'
in my parents' home? I don't think so.
Like,
So-
mom and dad, can you go somewhere?
yeah, can you leave? I
Yes.
have done that when they go on their trips. I do call my friends over, but that's like once or twice a year.
I
but yeah,
see.
But
I love the fact that, in our algorithms and what we watch or, view on social media, you can kind of live vicariously through others, right?
Right.
There is joy in that.
And that's why I do that. Yeah.
That's true. I'm going to just read one real quick because
Yes.
it's Young send in a message. Lately, I've been watching a lot of YouTube about heaven and hell. Oh, my algorithm is kind of stuck between both and maybe thinking like, should we send this person to heaven or the other one? But honestly, no matter the religion, it's just a mystery that I'm really curious about.
I'm wondering, are we talking like Buddhist concepts of heaven and, the other
He
place?
didn't
Or are we
specify.
going like Christian? Oh, speaking of which, I watched Conclave yesterday. Speaking of,
and?
it was so good.
Okay.
So good. All right.
So, yes.
All right.
I'm
Anyways.
definitely going to check that out. All right, we're going to get into our first story. Bombs were accidentally dropped over a civilian area, causing casualties yesterday. So
Those words should never be used in the same sentence together.
Right.
And when I first got the Korean news alert on my phone, I was like, are we talking like cannonballs, like shells? No, they're full out bombs. So this is a never before unprecedented accident where two Air Force fighter jets, KF-16s, dropped 8 air-to-surface bombs, 공대지 폭탄, MK-82s, over a civilian village in Pocheon, Gyeonggi Province, injuring 15 people.
yes.
So this happened during live fire drills when bombs were dropped in what's called an abnormal release, 비정상 투하. This happened at 10:05 yesterday morning. 2 people, these were civilians, were seriously injured with 13 other minor injuries, including Air Force officials, so civilians and soldiers alike.
Well, you mentioned the type of bombs they are, but we don't know what they are and what kind of damage there was thereof. We saw some of the photos, but, give us details.
Right. So these MK-87s, they're bombs that are used to destroy buildings and bridges in times of war. So they create these huge perimeter craters that are 8 meters wide and 2.4 meters deep. And their impact perimeter is about 1 football field. So it does not use guided GPS system. So it is an unguided bomb, 무유도 폭탄. And the area that was hit was about 8 kilometers away from the firing range where they were supposed to be dropped.
Okay.
Also, a Catholic church building was damaged along with greenhouses, vehicles, and homes.
It kind of boggles the mind because I'm still thinking about that fact. I mean, I can't believe, no one actually passed away because of this, right?
Right.
So how did this happen?
Right, in this day and age.
Exactly.
With,
A
with so
mistake?
much technology. So the Air Force said the pilot, this one person, mistakenly entered the wrong coordinates.
Yes.
So this is a 좌표 입력 실수 and confirmed this with the pilot. So officials say what's supposed to happen when a pilot gets his or her assignment, drills, or real life situation. This person enters the target coordinates in a particular device.
Sure.
And then they go in the jet and puts that device into the jet. Then the coordinates are set onto the jet.
Yes.
At this time, the pilot is supposed to check the coordinates on the ground before they take off and again in the air. So it's supposed to be a triple check system, but it's only one person doing it.
The checking, okay.
Right. So this entire process, again, because it's just the pilot alone. This was also a dual exercise where 2 planes were joined together. So when the first pilot who mistakenly entered the coordinates dropped their bomb, the second plane, the partner plane, kind of dropped it as well. That's why we got 8 bombs dropping on this village.
Wow, once again.
So unprecedented. And another problem is that when the fire authorities and the police got to the scene, they obviously saw clear signs that this was a bombing.
Yes.
However, the Air Force didn't confirm this and notified the press until about 100 minutes. So about an hour and a half had passed already. So that was another issue. In any case, the Air Force has suspended all live fire drills until the exact cause of the accident has or will be determined.
So thus far, it looks
Yeah.
like human error. But once again, thank goodness. And of course, we're praying for those people who are injured, seriously injured. Let's move on. This next story is about 홈플러스. We've talked about this discount supermarket chain that is going under corporate rehabilitation. So there's been some criticism that has been growing over its major shareholder and its responsibility.
Right. So 홈플러스 is owned by a private equity fund, 사모펀드, MBK Partners. And whether MBK has engaged in perhaps irresponsible practices and prioritize its own profit above all, that has come under scrutiny. So let's go back a little bit. MBK bought 홈플러스 10 years ago. It used 7.2 trillion won, a heavy proportion of that from loans. And at that point, that also raised concerns about financial risks, fiscal health. MBK's expectation, again, this was 10 years ago, was that large supermarkets would control the retail market. And, well, a decade ago, that was true, but COVID happened, e-commerce happened,
Yes.
e-commerce happened. That wound up being a wrong call.
Right. So how did MBK handle the situation?
So ever since then, its focus has been on retrieving this amount that it paid 7.2 trillion won and huge amount in loans from the supermarket franchise by closing down the stores and selling the land and getting dividends. So ever since MBK took over, 25 branches have or they are going to close down. And this includes, because it is common for many supermarkets that are not doing well, not
Yes.
having large, high sales to shut down. But this also includes the Busan's Gaya branch, it's one by my home, and Gyeonggi's Ansan branch, which were consistently among the top branches for sales. I
Yes.
remember the entire neighborhood was kind of baffled, like, why? We go there all the time. Seems it was for property sales. So this then led to a plummet in their sales, right? But also the increase in profit for the company because they're making money from the property sales. But that also means that it's led to people losing their jobs, their livelihoods. So
Yes.
market insiders estimate that MBK paid back over 4 trillion won in its loans via these sales.
I see.
Also, another major aspect, commercial papers, 기업 they sold these commercial papers until right before it filed for rehabilitation. But the whole premise of selling these commercial papers, these short-term bonds,
Yes.
is that your company is in good credit standing. That
Right.
you're going to be able to pay them back, not go into court rehabilitation.
Yes.
And because of this, the National Pension Service has invested some 600 billion won into 홈플러스. But they're also at risk of not losing all of this, but at least losing some amount.
Sure.
By the way, 홈플러스's credit rating has gone from A3 minus to D, which is the lowest.
Ooh, and this has at least partially affected customers.
Right. So at least for the time being, branches are operating normally. However, some gift certificates, 상품권s, have been suspended.
Oh.
So 홈플러스 issues its own gift certificates, and Silla Duty Free, Everland, and CJ Foodville, which owns like the bakery 뚜레쥬르 and others, they've suspended the use of 홈플러스 gift certificates from their stores.
Okay.
And this is upon concerns that 홈플러스 may not be able to pay them for the gift certificates used at these locations. It's kind of a jump scare from the whole the Timon WeMap crisis we saw last year,
Right.
with the companies not being able to compensate or pay back the balance for these sellers.
Sure.
It shouldn't be too big of an issue if you do have these gift certificates, because at least so far, 홈플러스's position is that 96% of its gift certificates are sold or and used in its own store. So only 4% should be affected.
Okay.
However, it's also partners. The suppliers are carefully eyeing the situation and trying to decide whether they want to continue selling their products on or in 홈플러스 stores.
Right.
So for instance, LG Electronics has temporarily suspended its outgoing sales or products to be sold at 홈플러스 locations. Major food manufacturers like 오뚜기 and others have also temporarily suspended their sales or supplies.
I see. So that's the status of 홈플러스 right now. All right, let's move on to some international news. The U.S. has begun direct talks with Hamas for the first time ever.
Right. So the White House confirmed this week that the United States has entered direct negotiations with Hamas, the militant group that's in charge of Gaza.
Yes.
So President Donald Trump has given Hamas an ultimatum. And by talks, we mean threats, saying that if you don't release all of the hostages now rather than later and immediately return all the dead bodies, it is over with capital OVER for you, he wrote on Truth Social.
Yes.
But why is this significant? It is, like you said, the first time that the U.S. has entered direct talks with Hamas, because the American diplomatic and national security principle is that they don't negotiate with terrorists.
That's right.
And Hamas is considered a terrorist group. So this is likely, though, because there are U.S. hostages that are held by Hamas. So they're trying to bypass Israel for a more direct and expedited process. By the way, 59 hostages are still held. Only 22, however, are believed to be still alive, with 5 Americans on this list. Trump also sent a message to the people of Gaza saying that a beautiful future awaits them, but not if you hold hostages, and threatening them that they will die if Hamas does not turn over the hostages.
Yes. All right, we're going to turn our attention to a different issue for now. Final issue. It seems that a lot of kids are now looking at becoming a content creator as a career option. However, a big but. How realistic is this?
And not just kids, but a lot of adults are thinking about
Yes.
going into the content creation direction. Like, should I quit my job? Statistically, don't quit your day job. So, the Ministry of Science and ICT and Korea Radio Promotions Associations in last year,
Sure.
they released figures for average digital creators' profits.
Okay.
How much did they make? 13.4 million won, 1,300만 won for the entire year. So
Okay.
probably not enough for you to live on.
I
You're
should
looking at the
think
median
not.
salary.
Yes, yes.
So this is a survey amongst 1,000 creators who made at least a consistent amount of income from their platforms last year.
Okay. And so how are they making money? Like in what ways, the methods?
Ads, but the platform ads. So those advertisements you have to watch on YouTube or other sites before you get to the video, along with individual ads and sponsored content. So overall, sponsored contents and advertisements accounted for 77% of their total income.
Sure.
There were more male creators than female at about 15% higher. Half of all creators were in their 30s, most of them living in the capital area. About a third of them were full-time creators,
Okay.
and most of them were on YouTube. Half of these creators had under 10,000 followers with an average of 12 uploads and 9 shorts per month.
Yes.
So the vast majority of them did their own production planning, filming, editing, and subtitles.
Yes.
So this is, once again, a lot of work. A lot of work. And apparently it took them about 20 hours to create one video.
Wow. So don't quit your day job. Not just yet. Just
Not
letting you
yet.
know. All right. Well, thank you for going over all the news. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number two. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And let's turn to you, the waivers out there, because our text topic is this. What do you watch? What's your algorithm like on social media? That is the question. Looking at some of your responses. We have, for example, Leslie who says this. Good morning, Leslie. Books, BTS, ASMR, and in parentheses for the ASMR, Japanese spas and Korean car camping, cats, and travel vlogs. I think in Korea we call them vlogs, but we say just vlogs. So thank you for sharing what's in your algorithm. We have Michael who says 저는 big fails 많이 봅니다. 왠지 모르게 그런 상황을 수시로 봐둬야 실제 현실에 그런 황당이 발생하면 어떻게 대응해야 할지 미리 알아두었다가 무의식적으로 잘 대응을 할 수 있을 것 같아서요. Oh, that's very interesting. So he apparently looks at, once again, big fails because he thinks that he can, if anything comes up in life, he'll be ready and good to go if he watches those types of videos. One more for now. Benny who says, for me, NASCAR racing, full race replays, K-pop music videos, content from BFM and also other stations, for example, in Seoul, he says. So, very interesting. I love hearing about your algorithm, so keep them coming in. And in the meantime, let's get to Kat's pick for today. It's time for a Cat's Pick. Oh, when I saw this story, I knew I had to report on it. You know I love animals at this point. If you have watched Morning Wave in Busan, I want to focus on a couple. Bald eagles. Yes. They are named Jackie and Shadow. Love their names. And they're in the midst of this cuddling with the two newest members of their nest. Let's listen to a clip from CBS Mornings and I'll explain further.
We end tonight with an epic love story. They're Jackie and Shadow, two bald eagles in California with a global social media following. The beloved raptors are trying for a family again after 2 years of heartache.
High atop a pine tree in the San Bernardino National Forest, about 100 miles outside Los Angeles. Jackie and Shadow, a bald eagle pair since 2018, tend to their nest and wait. Sandy Steers, who helps run the conservation group Friends of Big Bear Valley, has been observing this nest for years.
How popular is the watching of this nest?
Well, when they have eggs and when they're there, it's very popular.
The social media stars put on quite a show as two solar-powered live webcams capture their every move. The couple is expecting triplets. It's a rarity for bald eagles. Steer says they compete over who gets to sit on the eggs.
He just flew up with this giant fish.
Yes.
And he said, Happy Valentine's Day, move.
It might have been move, Happy Valentine's Day, now move.
Last year, a global audience watched as Jackie, buried under a foot of snow, sat 62 hours straight on 3 eggs. None of those eggs hatched, but Jackie is mom to 5 eagles who flew the nest. Nationwide, the bald eagle is making a remarkable comeback. Once on the brink of extinction, its population has soared, quadrupling to about 316,000 the past decade. Jackie and Shadow's eaglets are due to pip as early as March 1st.
It pokes by hitting its head against the shell with that egg tooth to make a hole in it and crack it.
Do Jackie and Shadow eventually help get it out, or no?
Supposedly they don't, but I've seen Shadow help.
For now, their fans can only watch and wait, hoping the majestic birds will have some new additions to their nest.
I love this story. In Korean, they're called 흰머리 독수리. Some people think they're called 대머리 독수리 because it's bald eagle, but it is not true. The 대머리 독수리 refers to vultures. So these are the 흰머리 독수리. The thing is, yes, they had heartbreak because I think last year or the year before, there were 3 eggs and they didn't hatch. That's why. So, yes, now they have 2 little ones and they're waiting on the 3rd egg to hatch as well. So we are on, yes, bird watch. Story to be continued. This was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
Look who is in the studio with me. It's Casey, a.k.a. What did people call you before you said?
I have been called a bald eagle before. I didn't know how to take it. I
Because you're American.
That's what I assumed.
You're American.
That's
right?
it. That's right.
You're American.
Obviously.
Right?
So obviously.
That is the only reason why.
Did they make a sound?
Yes.
Do they make a sound?
They make sounds.
I wonder what sounds they make. America. That's what they
America.
say.
Text topic time. You ready?
Well, yeah, okay.
What's on your social media algorithm? Like what do you watch? What do you click on?
I was just telling friends this the other day.
Yes.
I don't know why. But I don't even watch them. So one social media feed is only Bill Burr clips and Marvel versus DC memes. And I'm like, what?
Why?
I don't know. And the other app that I use, let's say it's Instant.
Instant.
That one seems to be Japanese food. People making Japanese food. So there's no consistency that I can see. Yeah.
It must be like people that are like that you're friends with.
I don't think so.
Because Haley says my algorithm keeps on popping up like for her feed, like because I click on like press like the heart.
So what kind of stuff do you get?
Oh, for me. I already mentioned animals, lots of cooking.
I don't get the animals, yeah. Cooking, yeah, I get tons of cooking.
Right.
And I guess at some point they're cooking animals, so I guess you combine the two. No good?
아버지.
Okay. Sorry.
네, bald eagle, stop.
Takes me back.
Oh, we need to move on, because I just ruined my appetite.
Sorry.
For the entire word.
I mean,
day,
we end up eating them.
Speechless.
I know.
Jump.
Segue time? That's going to be tough.
Let's get into foreign press highlights. What do you have for us? Where's it from?
Okay, so this might not seem like it's foreign press about Korea, but it is. This is from Bloomberg. And there's been so much news this week about a certain speech that had took place in the United States.
That speech?
That's the one.
Yeah.
So the headline that does refer to Korea is that from Bloomberg, Trump puts spotlight on Korea for higher than China tariff. And there's at the very top of the article, gives you one of those little taglines that you can kind of guess what the article's about. President Donald Trump pointed to South Korea as a country with more unfair tariffs against American products than China, while slamming and handing out subsidies for foreign chip makers like Samsung Electronics Company. That doesn't sound too good for Korea, does it?
Dun, dun, dun. No, not at all. So let's talk about this speech that he gave. So you're referring to...
Tuesday night.
Yes.
It was a joint session of Congress, and President Trump said literally, this is his quote, China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them, and South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher, and we give so much help militarily and in so many other ways to South Korea, but that's what happens. This is happening by friend or foe.
So let's get into parse what he said.
Yes.
Is there evidence of this?
Well, as a lot of articles I've read, there's a lot of fact-checking going on. So according to South Korea, in a statement after the speech, South Korea said its effective tariff on U.S. imports amounted to 0.79 that's a point in there. 0.79% last year due to a free trade deal that came into effect way back in 2012 between the two countries.
Right.
Its tariffs would be 4 times higher only if there was a rate that applies to World Trade Organization members, but that isn't the case because there is this bilateral agreement, according to the statement.
Yeah,
and that's
been
for a while.
Right.
Been for a while.
It's been there.
Yes.
So Trump's comments, well, they have a real impact on the relationship, the trade between the two countries, South Korea and the U.S.
Like, is it just talk or is it like something really going to happen?
Yes.
Well, actually, these comments are likely to be a cause for concern, according to this Bloomberg article, because policymakers and businesses here in South Korea are fearing that the president will eventually turn his focus to trade and security relations with Seoul, because he did mention that as well.
Yes.
And it did have real-time effects. South Korea's currency briefly weakened against the dollar to about 1,461 after Trump mentioned Seoul's tariffs, and then they paired their losses and strengthened up to about 1,451 by late afternoon.
Yes.
But, the electronics company, which is a rather large force here in South Korea, did finish the day down 0.9% in the stock market. So these public comments do have an impact.
Oh, of course. Everybody is like listening to everything he's saying.
Right.
Because it is the United States.
Right.
Will there be, future impact as well?
Not just the day of, right?
Yeah.
So according to the Bloomberg Economics, they estimate that even the mere threat of U.S. tariffs could trim 0.8% from South Korea's gross domestic product this year, with the impact probably concentrated in the second half. And also the article does say that South Korea may face other issues with Trump's administration as well. Again, going back to the security statement that he mentioned, Seoul does rely on security guarantees from Washington to deter North Korean aggression. And Trump last year referred to the South Korean ally as a money machine.
Yes.
As he reiterated his demand that South Korea should pay more for the upkeep of American troops stationed here on the Korean Peninsula. And we were familiar with that argument the last time he was president. So that debate will probably be coming back soon.
Anything to look forward to?
Well,
yes. According to the article.
According to the article, so another thing that was mentioned in his speech, Trump also blasted the Chips and Science Act, actually, I should say.
Yes.
That was introduced under the Biden administration. He called it a quote-unquote horrible, horrible thing. He didn't specifically mention Samsung at that point, but that is one of the builders of memory chips. That is a major recipient of those subsidies under that act because they're building a plant in Texas. So the comment from the president kind of rekindled concerns that that program could be canceled for foreign manufacturers setting up operations in the United States. However, he says they will come because they won't have to pay tariffs if they build in America. So he said directly to the Speaker, Mike Johnson, you should get rid of the CHIPS Act, and whatever is left over, Mr. Speaker, you should use it to reduce debt or any other reason you want to.
Yes.
Carte blanche. You can do it what you want.
What can South Korea do? I mean, is there anything to be done?
They did visit Washington last week, officials from here, from South Korea, and they did call on the longtime ally to exempt Seoul from these planned tariffs because South Korea does heavily rely on trade for economic growth.
That's
a lot of the largest companies here generate a lot of their revenue overseas, not here. So yes, they're doing their best to kind of talk about it.
Yes. So we're going to leave that story there.
Yes.
And of course, it's to be continued because this is a major story.
And, a lot of the things that were said have since been taken back or reversed or changed. So we'll see.
All right, let's move on to our next story. What's this one about?
Okay, so this comes to us from the Los Angeles Times, and the headline kind of says it all. They didn't know they were citizens. Now they're expected to serve in the South Korean military.
Oh.
Which when I saw that, I was like, say what? How does that happen?
Yes.
Apparently, it all goes back to someone named Yoo Seung-jun. Are you familiar?
Yes, he's famous or infamous.
Both, I guess?
Yes.
Do you know the details?
Well, I do, but just in case some of our
I had
waivers.
no idea. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so I'm sure there's a lot of people who may not be familiar. So Yoo Seung-jun was born in Seoul in 1976. Then his family immigrated to California when he was about 12.
Yes.
And then he caught the attention of a South Korean talent agency much later. Moved back to Seoul, started a music career, became beloved here, did really well.
Right.
And, I guess he got this question a lot. So he wanted to keep up his image as being patriotic. I guess a lot of times in interviews it came up, like, what are you going to do when it comes to military service? And he said, no, I'm going to do it. I'll do the 2 years, just like everybody else. I'm not going to be like other people who use their wealth or status to avoid it.
And then?
Fast forward to 2002, he got his conscription notice, and then 6 months later, he traveled to the U.S., became a naturalized American, renounced his South Korean citizenship. Then he didn't have to do the military duty, and people were very upset.
And the thing is that I think people were really upset. I don't speak on behalf of everybody, but the feeling is everybody was upset because he kept on saying,
right,
I'm going to, fulfill my military.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And then he turned around. I think that was kind of like people felt betrayed. Yes.
And I think you're right because in 2005, a mere 3 years later, the legislature passed a law that made it harder for specifically sons with Korean citizenship to renounce it before completing their military service. So did you actually know that law passed? In 2005?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I had no idea.
It's a sensitive issue.
Sure, understandably so. And I think that's one big point of the article. His name keeps coming up and up again.
Yes.
So basically why this is being reported now is because there's a Washington-based immigration attorney named Chun Jong-jun.
Yes.
Who lives. He's born in Korea but lives in Washington now. He says he gets phone calls several times a week from Korean Americans who are surprised.
Oh.
And he said they've all made this same discovery themselves or their U.S.-born children hold South Korean citizenship and they cannot give it up.
Oh, really?
So a lot of people are unaware of this.
So people might be wondering, though, 어떻게 몰라요? Like, how do you not know this then?
Because they're not living in Korea, I guess is the situation.
Okay.
So basically, before they inherited Korean citizenship from their parents, and it used to expire automatically at 22 before the law changed.
I see.
So under the new law, if you don't renounce your citizenship before March of the year that you turn 18, and I was like, which 18? Korean 18 or international age 18?
I think it's the international age, but you don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah. They are stuck with it, right?
Right, until age 38. And so this law has received little attention in the U.S. according to the LA Times. So a lot of young men only find out after it's too late, and that's why they end up calling this lawyer Chun. And he says he estimates that around 250,000 diaspora Koreans around the world unwittingly have dual citizenship because of the law. Is that how you say it? I always get it wrong.
Diaspora.
Diaspora, thank you.
I don't know why it's only this word. It's only this word. Right.
I'll learn it someday.
So are they the target of this law?
So no, the main targets of the law were actually supposed to be families who timed their visits to the United States so that their sons would be born there for that express purpose of later getting out of conscription.
What was it called? Like 원...
specific term for that?
출산? 원정 출산 is what they were targeting.
Right, okay. So the U.S.-born sons of families that had permanently moved, I'm going to try this word again, the real diaspora. Koreans, how did I do? Good?
Yeah.
As one legislator put that term, real diaspora Koreans were not immune, though. So it kind of had apparently unintended effects. But until I read this article, I was under the impression that you cannot have dual citizenship in Korea.
You can up until, your boy turns 18.
Right.
Right. You got to decide.
That's what I thought.
You got to decide.
But if you don't decide, then you end up with dual citizenship as a possibility. as long as you serve the military's time here. I did not know that at all.
Well, we're out of time.
Yeah, well, I hope some people probably learned something from this because I did.
Definitely.
Check it out more. There's more specific stories about people being affected by this. It's really interesting and good to know about.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing these two really interesting stories related to Korea from different, perspectives. And we'll definitely check in with you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
All right. Thank you, Casey. And it's now time for this song, Cheer Up by Twice, because Michael, he requested it and he's going back to work next week. So, 화이팅!
이젠 나를 배려해줘 배터리 낭비하기는 싫어 자꾸만 봐 전화가 펑 터질 것만 같아 몰라 숨도 못 쉰대 나 때문에 힘들어 심장이 떨어지네 왜 그렇게 말해나 너무 예쁘대 자랑하는 건 아니고 약간은 못 받아서 미안해 친구를 만나느라 샤샤샤 만나긴 좀 그렇고 미안해 좀 이따 연락할게 later 저러지마 할만하지 않아 부르게 해줄게 baby 아직은 좀 일러 내 맘 듣긴 일러 하지만 더 보여줄래 Try to baby 좀 더 힘을 내 여다가 쉽게 마음을 주면 안 돼 그래야 네가 날 더 좋아하게 될걸 태연하게 연기할래 아무렇지 않게 내가 널 좋아하는 막 모르게 Just get together and then every time I need you 안절부절 목소리가 여기까지 들려 땀에 젖은 전화기가 여기서도 보여 바로 대답하는 것도 매력 없어 메시지만 읽고 확인 안 하는 건 기본 너무 심해 나보 이러다가 지칠까봐 걱정되긴 하고 안 그럼 내가 더 빠질 것만 같아 답장을 못 해줬어 미안해 친구를 만나느라 샤샤샤 만나긴 좀 그렇고 미안해 좀 이따 연락할게 later 저러지마 어디 가지 않아 태워줄게 너의 baby 너무 빨리 싫어 성의를 더 보여 내가 널 기다려줄게
Your bridge to the world. BEFM 부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다 축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로 하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Welcome to Busan. Let me show you around. Here you can find the world's largest musical in-ground fountain and the world's only UN memorial cemetery. Stroll along the coast and explore the largest mountain fortress in Korea. As well as all this, there are so many tourist attractions, beautiful exhibitions, vibrant culture, convenient facilities, and delicious foods unique to Busan. With all the beauty and charm of the amazing city of Busan, you'll find yourself right at home in this ever-changing tourism paradise. So stay with us a while. Busan, your #1 tourist destination. Your home, away from home. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어방송.
지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고. 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It's now 8 o'clock. This is news highlights. 15 injured after bomb accidentally dropped over village. 15 people were injured yesterday after 2 Air Force KF-16 fighter jets mistakenly dropped 8 air-to-surface bombs outside a training range during live fire drills in Potan. Fire authorities said 2 civilian men have been seriously injured and taken to the hospital, but noted their injuries to the face and shoulder are not life-threatening. 8 others with minor injuries have also been moved to hospitals for treatment. An Air Force official told reporters an initial investigation found that one of the pilots of the single-seat jets wrongly entered the coordinates for the strike target prior to takeoff, leading to the accidental bombing. Consumer prices rise at 2% level in February. South Korea's consumer prices rose at a 2% level for the second consecutive month in February, driven by a weaker local currency that pushed up import costs, data showed yesterday. Statistics Korea said that this follows a 2.2% rise in January, which marked the steepest on-year increase since July. Consumer prices, a key gauge of inflation, have remained below the central bank's target rate of 2% since last September. The agency attributed the recent uptick to higher energy prices and the depreciation of the Korean won, as South Korea relies heavily on imported oil to meet its energy needs. Government leaning towards scrapping plan to hike med school quota. The government is reportedly moving to withdraw the medical school quota expansion for next year in an effort to resolve the trainee doctors' walkout. The decision comes after a policy consultation meeting with the People Power Party, PPP, with the government reportedly deciding to accept the PPP and the medical community's request. Under the plan, the annual admissions quota for medical schools across the nation will be set at 3,058, going back to the previous admissions quota. The government is expected to announce its decision later today. Review panel calls for arrest of presidential security officials. A warrant review committee of the Seoul High Prosecutor's Office sided with the police's decision to request arrest warrants for 2 senior officials of the Presidential Security Service, or PSS, Kim Sung-hoon and Lee Kwang-woo. 6 of the panel's 9 outside experts voted in favor of the recommendation during a closed-door meeting yesterday, according to the committee. Kim and Lee are accused of obstructing the execution of an arrest warrant for President Yoon Suk-yeol in January, taking unjust personnel actions, and instructing subordinates to delete records of phone conversations between Yoon and military commanders involved in the martial law declaration. Trump pauses some Canada and Mexico tariffs for 1 month. U.S. President Donald Trump temporarily delayed tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico until April 2nd, 2 days after imposing sweeping tariffs on all imports from the 2 North American nations. This follows an earlier decision to grant automakers a 1-month suspension on tariffs. Tensions may continue, however, as Trump had phone calls with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum in recent days and attacked Trudeau as using the tariffs to stay in office. Trudeau said that Canada will continue to be in a trade war for the foreseeable future. This was News Highlights. It's time for Wagle. Haley's back.
I'm exhausted.
Why are you exhausted?
I had to run back and forth between here and our producer's desk, which is so far, like 5 times, because someone told me the wrong information. Someone gave me fake news.
Oh, yeah. Fake news?
Fake news.
So you're back and forth.
억울하시면 마이크 다시라고요.
지금 변호인 못해. She can't speak up for herself.
I mean, we can hear her, but I'm just gonna...
She turns your mic down.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Did she really? You think I can't talk? Anyways, we're good. We're good.
You know, after our show, I rarely fix my makeup throughout the day, but always because we're laughing so much, I always have to check around the eyes
Just
to
the
make
little
sure.
panda eyes. Yeah,
and there's a reason. Well, I love the fact that we laugh a lot on our program. However, we got to jump into some waggly news. Let's talk about gold. Who doesn't like gold, right? Gold is one of the most hot in-demand commodities right now, and people are getting creative apparently about smuggling gold in.
I mean, people are getting real entrepreneurial about this. People are very smart. And, as with all illegal things, as my mom says, only if you channel this to something productive. In any case, well, there's a reason, economic reason. Gold prices in South Korea at an all-time high due to heightened demand and taxes. So this has opened up a new black/gray market of gold smuggling from areas like Hong Kong that do not have these taxes.
Yes.
So in the past several years, there's been about 3 gold smuggling cases caught by the customs authorities every year. This year, please note that today is March 7th?
Yes.
7 so far.
7.
In just the first 3, actually 2 months of the year.
Okay.
So this is an effect of people flocking to these, what's called safe haven assets. Because, stock prices are very volatile, currency, don't even get me started.
Yes.
And of course, this all stems from President Donald Trump's tariffs, as we've been talking about.
Right.
So experts say that what they're seeing right now is a beginning of this kind of gold craze cycle.
And by the way, we don't want to promote this, but I'm curious. I got to know. How are they smuggling the gold in?
All right, so I don't know what alchemy they're using, but they're processing gold into clay-like forms. 찰흙 같은 물질. And someone who majored in chemistry tell me how. Also, silver plating gold statues. So they're getting they're usually statues of Buddha and then covering that with silver. So 은으로 도금. Is that called 도은? Maybe not, probably not. So in the most recent and bizarre case reported, people turned gold into these kind of wheel shapes and then stuck it on their suitcases.
Oh.
So they have golden wheeled suitcases. Yeah.
Oh, and we have
then they will
photos.
put the kind of plastic covering over it to maybe not scratch the gold.
People are smart.
People are smart.
People
I'm
are
telling you.
devious.
Also,
Yes.
what with that, if you can see our YouTube page, how did the customs officials catch it? Is
I
my
don't
question.
know.
Because unless they have X-rated vision, maybe maybe the
Superman.
wands, right? The metal detecting wands. So, and also there are attempts, the more conventional, traditional attempts, having it on your body, taping it into your pants, like on your body, and much more. Okay, custom officials also warned that these days there are ads online for people offering
Yes.
free flights to wherever.
Yes.
So you would take gold back. So all you have to do is just carry this gold. It's not drugs. It's a completely legal commodity, except that counts as smuggling. So don't.
So don't be a gold mule.
Exactly.
Yes.
Don't be a mule of any
Yes.
kind. Speaking of entrepreneurial smuggling attempts, we're
Yes.
going to go to Colombia for this
Ooh.
adjacent story.
Okay.
A man in his 40s was recently arrested in Colombia trying to smuggle in 220 grams of cocaine worth about 10,000 euros or 15 million won.
Okay.
But where?
Where?
In his wig.
Kabal.
It was like woven into his wig, which is apparently a more popular way to smuggle in drugs than you might imagine. I had friends who have they have larger hair. And they were like, at airports, they get pat down on their head.
Oh, on their head.
On their head. They found it very offensive.
Right.
But
because you don't touch the hair.
no, you don't touch the hair.
Right.
But I guess people smuggle in drugs. So,
Like-
yeah. I mean,
Oh.
ew, that's so, I don't know. Wigs freak me out. Just, off of a human head. That's just weird. So, yeah, that's.
Unless you need it. If you're bald,
no,
if
I'm
you're
just
a
saying,
bald eagle,
that.
you might need a wig.
I'm going to step away from that. Yeah. Not
I'm
gonna touch
assuming
that.
he's going back home or going to school. So
I hope they're
he
not
can't hear
listening.
me. Love you, Casey. Yes. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah. So don't be
Don't be
any
a mule. Don't carry stuff. Just carry your own baggage.
Yes, be careful. Now, let's go back to U.S. President Donald Trump's speech to Congress this past week. He mentioned South Korea, but he also mentioned another country. And so his comments are garnering critique. Is it
Lesotho.
Yes.
So President Trump defended his administration's these massive cuts to humanitarian aid to countries around the globe, and he said that they're pouring in however much money to LGBTQI efforts in Lesotho, and said, quote, "It's a country nobody has ever heard of," unquote, which is so offensive.
It's so offensive.
And, as someone who gets really sick of getting asked, are you from North Korea or South Korea? And just my goodness. So this is a Southern African country, neighbor of South Africa, actually.
Yes.
The foreign minister of Lesotho told a U.S. media outlet that it was quite shocking to hear the head of state, the president of the United States, make such a remark. And the U.S. actually has an embassy in Lesotho, in the capital Maseru. And also, this was quite classy, invited Trump to visit the country. Said, we also have a nice golf course here. And but the country does intend on sending an official letter of protest to Washington.
Oh, well, I guess we can use this as kind of a learning opportunity. Let's learn about Lesotho.
So Lesotho gained independence from the UK in 1966. It is a small country. Population 2.3 million people. So it's smaller than the city of Busan. It's a constitutional monarchy ruled by, effectively, the prime minister. It is a poor nation in terms of its economy, but it is rich in diamonds. So some of the biggest ever found diamonds were mined in Lesotho. The economy relies heavily on South Africa, its neighbor, also where his political partner Elon Musk was born. So just throwing that out there. Sells its other major natural resources like water to its neighbor South Africa.
Okay.
Interestingly, for the U.S., Lesotho has become a major grower of medical marijuana. So legal marijuana.
Legal.
It makes jeans and has heavy Chinese investments. So probably antagonizing this country or even the region is not a good, savvy political move for the U.S.
All right. Let's go to our final story for
Yes.
now. We see digital kiosks and online reservations for so many different types of services, right? But there are always concerns that these conveniences for some come at the cost of alienating those without digital access.
Right. So as a relatively younger person, but whom even for my age, I'm not really tech savvy. And I always worry in, 20, 30, 40, whatever years when everything's virtual and, glasses and whatnot, how isolated will I be? How behind the times will I be? So we're talking about the elderly in particular.
Yes.
This is a case shared online of a senior citizen who couldn't get their hair done. So this was written on social media by someone who owns a hair salon. She said she was with a client giving her a perm when the senior citizen was lingering by the door.
Okay.
And then this person asked apologetically, I didn't make an appointment, but I can't seem to get my hair done anywhere. I'm so sorry. Apologized several times. So she invited this customer in, found out they were turned down from multiple other hair salons because they didn't make an appointment.
Oh my.
And the senior was just very apologetic over the whole thing. The stylist gave them a perm and said that the customer was so happy after this was done. So the hair salon owner wrote, "This gave me a lot to think about, that the simple, nonchalant no, sorry from businesses or from us can be a big deal for seniors. But also, again, a simple, nonchalant act of kindness can also mean a big deal."
Yes, yes.
And other people shared experiences of especially their parents getting turned away from these reservation-only places, of which these reservations are mostly done online.
That's true. I mean, more and more so. And, it's not just, these types of service, but even taxis are another type of service that are getting, just more and more online.
Right. Especially when you try to go somewhere that's pretty close and you just can't get a call or can't get the drivers to pick up your call. And you see all these taxis with the green 예약, the reserve sign.
Right.
And you're just exasperated. But then this is you and me. We have access. We are able to use those platforms.
Right.
But what about senior citizens who don't know how to use these apps? And by the way, these apps, the interfaces are not user-friendly. Once again, as a 30-whatever-year-old who's used a smartphone ever since, I could remember. And the kiosk, oh my gosh, the fast food kiosks, don't even get me started.
In the beginning, it was difficult even for me.
And then, they
language
have
barrier,
different different styles, interfaces, depending on where you go. So I'm like, where is the takeout button?
Exactly.
Like, where's the card button? Where do I put in the card? So these fast food places as well. Real story, I was at the Burger Monarch a couple of weeks ago. And I just, as like the 오지랖퍼 of, I don't know, of Busan representing, I just linger. And if there is, especially a senior citizen who's seems to not be able to do it, I'm like, can I help? What do you, because I don't want to be so forward, but I'm just psst, do you need, what do you like?
You don't
what
say
do you want?
psst.
I'm like, 선생님, 저기요.
저기요.
But it's always sideways. 저기요, 제가 도와드려도 될까요? Yeah, but also if you're gonna have kiosks, yes, I do have to, because it has to be subtle. I'm like, 선생님, 혹시
Our producer's asking 고개를 꼭 그렇게 흔들면서 턱을 들어야 되냐? 묻는데요.
It's my, I don't know why.
Apparently it's yes.
It's my
She has to do
it's
it.
my 오지랖 angle. I'm like, I've got to be subtle about it, not startle them. Yeah, so I mean,
that's sweet of you.
Once again, what this person said online about a nonchalant act of kindness making a big difference from others. By the way, let's go back to some news. The health ministry says that 76% of seniors, they do own smartphones. But 67% said that they still feel a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
They don't know how to use them. By the way, there are, for example, at the Busan Library, there's on the first floor, there's a kiosk digital class that's always open, and it'll teach you how to work with these interfaces. But for the developers part, being a little more universally age-friendly might be a good option.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's not just for older folks. It's for people who might have language barriers as well.
Right.
It's very confusing. Thank you for going over all the Woggly news. That was the final one, right? And of course, we'll check in with you on Monday. Have a good one.
Have a great weekend.
Everybody, this was Haley. And I'll be back with your traffic and weather. It's time for your traffic report. Right now, there is congestion detected on 만덕대로 from Minam to Mandok intersection. It's also backed up on 중앙대로 from Songgong three-way intersection to Seomyeon intersection in both directions. Heavy traffic on Byeonglo coming into the city right around the Wondong interchange. And there's also a vehicle that has broken down on Byeonglo going away from the city right around the Daeyeon Tunnel. As for the weather, it's currently 4 degrees. It's going to go up to 10 in the afternoon. You can expect some clouds to roll in. For tomorrow, you can expect a low of 5, a high of 10, some light rain in the afternoon. Sunday, a low of 3 and a high of 13. The good news is under clear skies. This was traffic and weather. And this is Time Flies by Yoongun as requested by Souvenir. Welcome back. I didn't even know there was an English version to that because I was so in love with the original version. So that's the first time I heard it. And I'm sure many of you were surprised as well looking at the comments on the board. And that's right. No dance time today because that was a ballad. So today I asked you about what you watch most on social media. Streaming platforms, what's in your algorithm? A lot of the common messages that have been popping up on the board is, I think food's a really common one. I definitely see a lot of food. And some people are mentioning really just positive channels. There are a couple that I follow. I'm not going to name them, but they are either really funny or kind of uplifting in a way, just like positivity, right? Because I don't want to dwell on the dark, negative things, not on social media. I just can't. And if you're doom scrolling on something negative, it's just going to bring you real down. So yes, definitely. Also, anything related to K-pop also seems to be popular as well on some of your social media feeds. Umberto, for example, in my algorithm, he says I have 3 things: animals, food, and travel tips and places. And Umberto's, feed, I think, is affecting my algorithm as well because I often see things pop up and I always see Umberto liked this and stuff like that. That's how interconnected we are. If we follow each other, are connected on social media, we definitely get a glimpse into what your friends or colleagues, what they also like as well. And I think that's kind of interesting, though, that we're all interconnected by our own algorithms. On the other hand, you might also want to be careful of what you like on social media because that can be seen by other people as well. Anyhow, I'll be back with our special interview. President Donald Trump's recent decision to freeze military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine has raised significant concerns about the ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe. And this move is intended, it seems, to pressure Ukraine into engaging in peace negotiations with Russia, potentially leading to a ceasefire agreement. The suspension of aid, though, has left Ukraine seeking alternative support, particularly from European nations, to maintain its defense capabilities. And the European Union, or EU's role in this evolving situation, seems quite crucial at this point, as a response could influence the balance of power and the prospects for peace in the region. Joining us is Professor Oksana Shevel, who's an associate professor of political science at Tufts University and director of Tufts International Relations Program. Let's say hi to her. Hi, welcome to the program.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Yes. So, Professor, if you could explain the reasons that we know thus far behind President Donald Trump's decision to freeze military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Is it to pressure Ukraine into engaging in peace negotiations? Is it about the minerals deals? What is it about?
I think ultimately this decision is definitely to pressure Ukraine, but what is really Trump is trying to pressure Ukraine into signing any kind of quick deal with Russia. I think the emphasis is on quick because Ukraine is willing, as President Zelensky signaled, to negotiate in order to have a just peace. But of course, just peace would require a complicated set of steps because Russian and Ukrainian positions are very far apart. Ukraine wants to be a sovereign country. It wants to have independent government. It wants to integrate into Europe. So even if NATO membership, say, and immediate recapture of the occupied territory is not on the agenda, Ukraine still wants to be a sovereign state. This has not been acceptable to Russia from the very beginning. The entire war started over Russia's desire to dominate Ukraine, to subjugate Ukraine. Putin denies Ukraine's very existence. And with these irreconcilable positions, any kind of quick deal is very difficult to achieve. But President Trump, since he promised to end the war in Ukraine, as he said originally, in 24 hours, seems to be very eager to lean on Ukraine and just have it sign whatever he and Putin may agree to. So any kind of quick deal could only favor Russia.
I see.
Ukraine has proved unwilling to do this. And this is why I think we see increasing pressure on President Zelensky.
So, Professor, how might this suspension of aid impact Ukraine's defense capabilities in the short term and also the long term?
Well, there is sort of shorter and longer answer to this. The shorter answer, of course, it would impact it negatively. U.S. has been a very important supplier of Ukraine for weapons, for intelligence. So this is clearly a negative. On the other hand, sort of if there's some expect that it would immediately lead to some sort of collapse of Ukrainian front line or Ukrainian defeat, I think that's not likely. Ukraine is in a much stronger position than it has been 3 years ago, including in its domestic weaponry production. U.S. aid now accounts for about 30%, more or less, of all military aid that Ukraine receives and what it can produce itself. The immediate negative, and this is actually very tragic for civilians because they are the ones who may suffer more because the air defense missiles, like the Patriot missiles, the intelligence when Russia is shooting at Ukrainian civilian and infrastructure targets, like that information now may not be available. So it is also a very cruel policy if we look at it this way. But I don't think it is likely to either lead to immediate collapse or short-term collapse of Ukrainian armed forces, nor will it make Ukrainians more likely to compromise because what Trump is requesting, what Putin wants, is unacceptable. It's essentially Ukrainian surrender. So again, sort of the expectation of a quick deal, I think, is driving this, that, as long as Ukraine signs on to whatever Trump and Putin decide, and that's what the goal of this is, but I don't think it's very likely to happen. And additionally, as you mentioned in your comments before we started talking, the European aid can also compensate for some of the shortfall of the U.S. aid, even though U.S. aid has also been critical.
Yes, indeed. Professor, by the way, our listeners, they are trying to hang on to every word you're saying right now. If you could slow down just a little bit because they really want to learn more about what you're saying. For our next question, though, Professor, in what ways could this aid freeze influence Ukraine's willingness or approach to enter peace negotiations? But it does seem President Zelensky, he has already made his stance known that he's open to negotiations. Is that not true?
Yes, I think it is true. And again, this sort of, it's both puzzling and kind of misleading to keep pushing pressure on Zelensky and see him as an obstacle to negotiation, because Russia hasn't once signaled that it is ready to have negotiations. For example, today, Foreign Minister of Russia yet again rejected the idea of ceasefire. They rejected the idea of Western peacekeepers in Ukraine. They continue to cling on to their maximalist demands that Ukraine not only would give up the territory Russia controls, that it would give up additional territory, that it would have to limit its military in a way that the country will not be able to defend itself. So again, sort of it is Russian maximalist goals from which they have not deviated to date. There is absolutely no evidence to suggest that Putin is willing to compromise. But all the pressure is on Zelensky. So again, the hope is, I think, on the part of the U.S. administration that is very eager for a quick deal, that these sorts of measures they have taken with limiting aid, intelligence sharing, would actually force Ukraine to compromise in a way that would favor Russia. But I think that is really kind of unrealistic and wrong expectation. That's also maybe important for visitors to realize that Zelensky's position is not just his position. He reflects the position of the Ukrainian society and the political class, which agrees that, yes, peace is something that we want. Ukrainians are the ones suffering, so it's not that they don't want peace, but they want just peace. They want security after potential ceasefire or peace talks. And again, I think the ball is really in Russia's court, and it is for Russia to show that it is willing to give up on its maximalist goals of destroying sovereign Ukraine. And so far, we haven't seen this.
Right. And going back to, you also mentioned, I said in the intro about Europe, the European nations, the EU playing maybe an even important role after given what Trump has said recently in supporting Ukraine during this period of reduced U.S. assistance. So how important is this?
I think it is very important because definitely this war in Ukraine and the U.S. policy towards Ukraine has broader implications for Europe specifically and, for global order more generally. So I think the fact that U.S. current administration seems to be prepared to throw a country under attack under the bus. And, there is now, I think, doubt, reasonably so in Europe, is U.S. really would be a reliable ally for Europe itself if it were to come under attack. And I think we see, in a way, we can say it is coming at least 3 years too late, but there is now this realization in Europe that it may need to look out for its own interests and its own security, potentially without U.S. help, or with certainly much reduced help. So we see, I think today President Macron yesterday gave a very powerful speech to this effect. And as far as aid for Ukraine, many countries, there is perhaps not, Europe consists, of course, of many countries, so that's part of the problem, to have a common position when there are so many voices around the table. But still seems the most important countries, larger countries, are in agreement that it's time to act as now. Norway, I think today, for example, committed more than 8 billion to the aid of Ukraine, which is up from 3 billion a year before, so it is a very substantial increase. Now, the question is, can European aid really compensate for the U.S. aid? Back to your earlier question, what happens kind of longer term? And I think that's still a question mark, because we don't really know for how long U.S. suspension of aid to Ukraine will last. Might be changed, say, after negotiations between Ukrainian and U.S. officials that are scheduled for next week in Riyadh. Would it stay kind of permanently? So that's a little bit uncertain. Also, how quickly Europe can mobilize, because that's also a challenge for European societies. It means if you spend more money on arms production, on defense, something has to give. There potentially will be less money to social programs, right? The voters may need to be convinced that this is necessary. So there is still a lot of uncertainty, I think, as to what happens in the future, but there is clearly, I think, realization in Europe that what Trump administration has been doing vis-a-vis Ukraine definitely affects in a negative way and potentially threatens European security.
Yes. And as we wrap up our discussion today, Professor, I'm curious about the dynamics between the U.S. and Ukraine and also the European countries. Assuming that this aid suspension continues, how will those respective relations be affected by this?
I think we're really in uncharted territory there, because the relations, historical alliances, priorities as they existed before Trump administration took office now are all being appended.
Right.
So this, 50-year-old post-World War alliance of West European democracies, Euro-Atlantic alliance with U.S. and West European democracies is now kind of on very shaky ground, and that's, putting it mildly. So I think, and given again that this administration in Washington doesn't seem to have any sort of strategic vision, a lot of it seems to be very erratic decision making, kind of Trump's personal sensitivities and really misconceptions or outright misinformation.
Right.
So I think it is very difficult. It's probably the most volatile and sort of unpredictable type of administration, because it's really hard to say what the strategic goals are, if any. But clearly, I think that is serving as a wake-up call to many countries in Europe in particular, that this reliance on the U.S., especially for military, for security, as linchpin of NATO, like all of this is changing. And what awaits us, it's hard to know, but certainly we are looking at a very unpredictable and very dangerous, at least immediate and short-term and medium future.
Well, thank you so much for coming on air with us and sharing your expertise and opinions about the situation at hand. Thanks for joining us, Professor.
Thank you.
This was Professor Oksana Shevel, and we talked about the current status of this temporary freeze, at least for now, on Ukraine aid. And she mentioned the term uncharted territory. So basically what that means is kind of like an unfamiliar or a situation that is very foreign. It feels 익숙하지 않는 상황을 설명했습니다. So that was from Professor Oksana Shevel once again. We're going to take a short song break from that. This is 약속 by Fly to the Sky as requested by Benny.
언제나 낯선 아픔들은 습관처럼 다시 찾아와 눈물을 짓지만 그대가 늘 미안해하던 초라한 현실은 영원하지 않죠. 감사해요 그댈 보내주셨다 언젠가는 자유롭게 날아갈 수 있어 그대의 꿈처럼 우리 한 걸음 또 한 걸음 그대 포기하지 않아 난 믿어요 지쳐가겠지만 언제나 같을 순 없겠죠 더 많은 날들이 기다릴 테니까 감사해요 그댈 보내주셨죠 하늘이 우릴 지켜줄 것을 언젠가는 자유롭게 날아갈 수 있어 Yes you will 그대가 꿈꿔왔던 것처럼 약속해요 나의 삶이 놓아줄 때까지 지켜줄 수 있어 널 사랑하니까 아름답게 맞으려 해서 준비했던 그 작은 바람도 가까이 있는가 언젠가는 자유롭게 날아갈 수 있어 그대의 눈물이 꿈꾸던 날들은 너무 아름다운 것
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It's time for Vasana. And what in the world?
We've had Oksana this morning.
I know, now it's Vasana. And Vasana sent me a message
No.
on my phone saying,
No.
don't ask me the text topic.
No.
Guess what though? I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot. 하지 말라는 거는 원래 해야 되잖아요. 네. He's like, 하지 마. Don't ask me. I'm asking.
The answer is beautiful people.
Of the female kind?
Of
Of all kinds?
Of the human kind.
the human kind. 아, 남자들은 다 똑같나?
남자잖아.
실망. 멍멍이 실망. 백 실망. Okay. We learned so much from Vasana through these text topics.
Nah.
네.
But I do get a lot of sports as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but then like cheerleaders and things.
진짜 아재들 오늘 왜 이래요? 진짜 Friday's the worst.
Especially
Casey
Kia Tigers.
the 삐까. 눈 아파요. Yes. Let's get into our first topic.
네.
What in the world?
We've got boxing.
Boxing.
Flying.
Uh-huh.
Swimming. And finally, something I haven't spoken about for a while, Florida.
Oh, I love Florida. A man in Florida. That's how it always starts, right? So
let's start with boxing.
Boxing. Are we talking about like sports, boxing, flying,
sports
swimming?
boxing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this guy called Gervonta Davis, his nickname is Tank. He just pulled off the slipperiest move since a greased-up eel escaped a Korean seafood market.
What?
There's some imagery for you.
Okay.
During his match against Lamont Roach,
Yes.
Davis voluntarily dropped to one knee, claiming hair grease got in his eye.
Ew.
Okay, so there's no problem there.
Uh-huh.
Blah, blah, blah. But the rules are if
Yes.
a boxer goes down and takes a knee,
Right. They start counting, right?
They
No?
should start counting.
Right, like 1, 2.
But
Yes.
he said, it's because of my hair product I went to my knee. And so the referee said, okay, no problem, just go clear out your hair, and didn't give him an 8 count.
Really?
Yep. And he just won the fight by 3 points. So that 1 point, actually. So that would have lost him the fight if he had had a standing 8 count or a mandatory 8 count.
Right.
So Roach would have won. Because it should be a knockdown according to the international rules. Different boxing associations have different rules.
Uh-huh.
So the New York State Athletic Commission, NYSAC, in a statement to ESPN said it is reviewing the matter. So I looked up this morning and they're still reviewing.
They're still reviewing.
Yeah, so, 다음 생에. Involving Saturday's Gervonta Davis.
Because of the hair, though.
Because of the hair.
But isn't it up to the athlete to secure his or her hair?
Correct.
When you're competing in any sport?
Yes.
I would think.
Correct.
Yes.
So before we carry on, I thought we'd have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
And look at some weird hairstyles
Ooh.
in sport over the years. I think a lot of people will know who they are, a couple of them anyway. So let's take a look at picture number 1.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the boxer.
Oh, okay.
This is him taking his knee. He's got...
cornrows?
Yeah, cornrows. I was going to call them dreads. My goodness.
Dreads. Oh, I don't know.
No, they are cornrows.
Okay.
But as you can see, there's a little bit hanging down on the side, so they were waving around, and it got in, the hair products got in his eye.
Ah, I see.
Okay, so let's go to some other sports with picture number 2. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Who's that?
Okay, I guess I'm either aging myself or you don't know the sport. It's soccer.
Soccer, yeah. I follow soccer.
Yeah. So he's Valderrama.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So he was very famous for that hairstyle.
For that hair.
And a lot of people still these days during Halloween will wear his hairstyle.
Okay.
Next picture.
Oh, it looks like a wave.
Yeah.
파도.
So he was drafted.
Morning wave.
파도 타기.
Surfing.
So he was drafted by Orlando. His name's Alfred Payton.
Okay.
His hair is now shaved. He's cut it short now.
Okay.
But when he came straight from college to the NBA, that's what he looked like.
Sure. Next.
Okay, and then the last one.
We all know that one. Ronaldo.
The older one. The other one.
Not Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. The other, I said the older one, but I suppose we can say the other one.
You know, that haircut, though, there have been so many memes about that.
Yes,
one.
so many, especially with that smile as well.
I know.
It just looks so geeky.
Cute little teeth. I said cute. You said geeky?
Geeky. I was going to put on some from me, but you already had enough of me last week. So.
Oh, we remember the hair. We remember the wigs.
No, I had worse ones.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, next time.
No.
I want to get to the flying. We did the boxing.
Okay.
We did
Let's
the hair. Let's go to flying.
Okay, so on to aviation news because nothing makes air travel more fun than horror.
Oh.
So what are the horror movies? Snakes on a plane, all those sort of things.
Yes.
So a couple on a Qatar Airways flight was forced to sit next to a dead body.
I saw the story.
Oh, you saw the story?
I didn't want to click on it, though. Yeah.
I clicked on it because
For 4 hours, though? Why?
4 hours.
Were they stuck, like, over a body of water, like an ocean?
They were dead when they were on the plane.
Let's not laugh.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
When we try to get serious on the show, we say broken jaws.
Broken jaws?
Like, you're like, Yeah, and it gets you serious. See? It worked. You're not laughing anymore. So
broken. No, I'm not laughing because I don't know what it means.
So for 4 hours.
Can you imagine
No.
any Karens asking to swap seats?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
no,
sure.
to sit next to.
Oh, no.
Well, the body won't be moving. They won't
Obviously.
be. You won't be annoyed
Did
with the body.
he or she, did they pass away on the plane?
Yes. So yeah. So a lot of more things that I've written. So let's just go on to the next topic.
Okay, next topic. All right, next.
Yes. Okay. Life choices. So 3 weeks ago, I talked about the Guanli polar bear swim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I actually went there on the Saturday, and nothing happened till about 3 in the afternoon.
Oh, you were not participating. You were just watching?
I just wanted to watch. But then that was just the opening ceremony and things. But Sunday was when it happened.
I see.
So my story sources were incorrect about being an all-day event on Saturday. So hopefully nobody went there Saturday. Anyway, the Czech Republic also had one, and they set a world record for people going for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2,461.
Oh, so what's like the temperature? Is it like near freezing temperature?
Yeah, near freezing. Yeah, so
Ooh, that's a lot of people.
Below zero Fahrenheit.
Yes.
So in other words, they all simultaneously realized their central heating bills were too high and decided, let's embrace hypothermia.
I want to ask her waivers. Have you, any of you, participated in any type of polar bear swim, which, usually during, New Year's Day, Eve around like New Year's, or any, winter, dead winter, where you plunge yourself into like icy, freezing cold water, whether it's the ocean? No.
Have you? Never?
No, the only icy cold water is like if you go to like a public bath.
Yeah.
And they have like the really, really hot water, and right next to it they have the really, really extremely cold water. That I've done. Yeah. Like going back and forth. That's it though. Not like a real.
I haven't, but I've swum in water that was on Mount. Actually, the mountain I said a few weeks ago that has been given human status. I swam in water
and it was
right
really
up
cold?
the top. It's freezing because it's never warm on that mountain. It's quite
high up the elevation, right?
So when you get into cold water, it is not. It's cold for about the first 30 seconds.
Yes.
Then after that, your skin is so numb.
Yes.
Your brain is tricked into thinking it's warm water. And so I was in there for about 30 minutes.
You're okay.
I was fine. But then I was really freezing when I hopped out.
I don't know.
But yes. So if you just jump in, then jump out, it's still going to be cold. But if you jump in
the
and
longer you stay, it's okay.
stay for a little while longer, then it's okay.
You acclimate to the freezing cold water. Yes.
But those many people were wearing swimsuits and all the things that keep you warm in the water. So
Okay.
yes.
And so we did the boxing, flying, swimming.
Yep.
So it's a time for the Florida story?
Okay.
Here we go.
So every year in Florida, they have what we call the Florida Man Games.
What is this?
I'm sure during the last 4 years it would have been just called the Florida Games, but now we have the guy back. It's called the Florida Man Games.
Okay, so what happens?
So this is a competition where participants. My goodness, my enunciation is not good this morning either. Embrace the most Florida behaviors imaginable.
Most Florida behaviors.
Okay.
So give us some examples.
Beer belly sumo wrestling.
Beer belly sumo wrestling.
Yep. The evading arrest obstacle course.
Oh my God. Evading. That's bad.
Wrestling alligator. And this is legit because the official uniform is just a pair of flip-flops and an unpaid child support notice. Anyway, carrying on.
Oh, you're so bad. Okay.
So this year's games added new events like the Hurricane Party Prep.
There's always a hurricane coming, right?
The Grocery Aisle Brawl and Human Beer Pong.
Human beer pong?
Yeah. So this year they did have to wrestle an alligator, but it wasn't a real alligator, thank goodness. It was just, the air alligator.
Oh, we have a question from one of our listeners saying, what's a beer belly? So beer belly is basically.
I
don't know. Korea, is it a
on-air
soju belly? 맥주를 많이 드시면 배가 나온다고 해서 beer belly.
You have the word in Korean.
What?
You have a word in Korean kind of for that kind of belly? 똥배 or
but 똥배
술배?
똥배's 술배? I don't know. There is no soju배. I don't think so.
No, soju doesn't give you a big stomach.
It doesn't. It's just the beer.
Beer definitely does.
It does?
Yeah.
See, I don't know because I don't drink. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I know how to have fun, trust me, without the beer.
Without the beer?
Yeah, without the beer.
My
I can
goodness.
party without the beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure PD Nim doesn't drink either, right?
Not much. She's like, don't look at me.
Okay, so I brought some pictures.
Yes.
Okay, so
all right, here we go.
The first picture here is of... It's a sumo beer wrestling. And so
really?
The object of the game is
Not
to
to
spill the beer.
Oh, 아깝다.
So they both lost that one.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
The next one is the rescuing the alligator one.
That's not a real alligator.
No, it's not. As I said, it's an air
inflatable.
But it looks
yeah, it looks pretty.
Looks pretty real though, doesn't
The
it?
producer thought it was real.
It's
네,
not
가짜예요.
real.
어떡해.
Oh, you were just going to censor me?
동물 학대.
It's
That's
not
abusing
real.
animals. What else?
Great paint job. Okay, this one is buffalo wing eating.
Oh.
So they have to eat.
They look so serious.
And, buffalo wings are quite hot.
Yeah.
For
hot.
me, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Some other people think, this is nothing, but yeah. And the last one.
Aw, he has no beer belly.
No, that's not the beer belly competition.
Yes.
This is the mullet competition.
Oh, the mullet, the hair?
The mullet.
Oh,
yeah,
I hate the mullet.
So the
that
little
looks bad
kid
on
actually
anybody.
won.
Ah.
The little kid was the winner.
Mullet is that haircut. What's
Correct.
that soccer player's name? What's his name? 김병진 머리. Oh,
What's wrong with it?
I don't like it. It's
If you go to New
unattractive.
Zealand and Australia, it's everywhere.
Unless
It
you
is
look
everywhere.
like Taunu. No. All right. So we're going to have to call it a wrap.
No.
Aw.
I was going to ask our listeners what kind of events we would have in the Korean man games.
Oh. They can think about it and tell us next Friday.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Vasana.
Thank you.
It's time to wrap up for this day, for this entire week. Wishing you nothing but happiness over the weekend. Final song is this, As Long As You Love Me by the Backstreet Boys. Bye, everybody.
Although loneliness has always been a friend of mine, I'm leaving my life in your hands. People say I'm crazy and that I am blind, risking it all in a glance. And how you got me blind is still a mystery. I can't get you out of my head. Don't care what is written in your history, as long as you're here with me. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you did, as long as you love me. Who you are, where you're from, don't care what you did, as long as you love me. Every little thing that you have said